Hey everyone, welcome back. So in the last video, we have learned about the static pod. Now in this video, we are going to learn about the pod lifecycle and the phases. So in this video, we will understand what is the pod lifecycle, what are the different phases we have for the pods, and we will also see the hands-on on the different phases. So let's get started. So imagine you create a pod and you check the status and it is in pending state. Now you wait for a few seconds and check the status again and you see it is running. And suddenly you see the pod in failed state. And this is common confusion for the beginner. To understand it, we need to first learn the pod lifecycle and different phases for the pod that goes through. So what is pod lifecycle? A pod lifecycle is the complete journey for the pod in the Kubernetes from the creation to deletions. So let me give you a simple example to understand this. Imagine you order a package online. A package goes through the different stages before it reaches to you. First, the order is received and then package is prepared. Next, it is shipped and after that it is delivered successfully. Sometimes delivery may fail because address is incorrect or the customer is unavailable. Or sometimes delivery company loses the contact with the delivery person and does not know where the package is. So a pod follows a very similar journey inside the Kubernetes. Think of like this: order received is equal to pending, package being prepared is equal to running, package delivered successfully is equal to succeed, and delivery failed is equal to failed, and the package location unknown is equal to unknown. So let me explain each phase simply. So let's say you have a pod YAML file and you run kubectl apply -f and file name. So as soon as you run the command, the pod is accepted by the Kubernetes, but it is not running yet. At this stage, Kubernetes is working behind the scene to prepare the pod for the execution. And it is finding most suitable node to run the pod. It is also checking the node has enough CPU and memory resources available and downloading the image if it is not present on the node. For example, when you run kubectl run nginx -f image is equal to nginx and immediately you check the status and you see the status is equal to pending, this means Kubernetes is still preparing the pod and it is not ready to run yet. So phase 2 is equal to running. In the running phase, once Kubernetes has successfully scheduled the pod on the node and started the container, the pod enter into the running phase. For example, after the few seconds, if you run kubectl get pod, you will see the status is equal to running. This means the nginx container has started successfully and the pod is now running and ready to serve the traffic. Third, we have a succeed phase, and in the succeed phase means the pod has completed its task successfully. All the container inside the pod has finished running with exit code 0 and that indicate there is a no error. This phase is commonly seen with the backup jobs in a container, data migration task and one-time script. For example, imagine a pod that runs the backup, save the data and then exit. And when you check the pod status, you see the status is equal to completed. This means the pod completed the task successfully and Kubernetes considers is finished. Next phase we have a failed, and the failed phase means the one or more container inside the pod has stopped with an error. And this usually happens when the container exit with non-zero exit code. For example, if the script inside a pod fails and stop with an error, the pod enter into the failed phase. And when you check the pod status, you see the state is equal to error, and this means the pod has started but something went wrong and application could not complete the work successfully. And the unknown phase means Kubernetes cannot determine the current state of the pod. In the simple word, Kubernetes has lost the communication with node where the pod is running, so it does not know whether pod is healthy, running or stop. As a result, pod enter into the unknown phase. Now let's see all the phases on the real Kubernetes cluster. So open the killercoda.com, select the Kubernetes playground and wait for the environment to load. So once it is loaded, let's verify the cluster now. And you see the control plane and worker node are in ready state. So let's create this simple pod and see how it moves through the different phases. Press escape and colon WQ and enter to save. Now let's apply and watch at the same time. And you see the container creating is now running state, and this is the pod that is moving from pending phase to the running phase. Control C to stop. Now let's create the pod that complete the task and exit successfully. Press I and type the following. So this container will print hello Kubernetes and wait for the 5 seconds and then print the final message and exit successfully. So let's see in action. So let's execute the file now. Let's check the status. And you see the status is equal to completed. and the completed means the pod has entered into the succeed phase with exit code 0. So let's confirm the exit code. Scroll to the container section and find the exit code is equal to 0. Here exit code 0 means container completed its work successfully without any error. So let's verify the failed phase, and to verify it, let's create the pod with an error. Press I and then colon WQ, save and exit. So what this YAML file will do, the container will start and it look for the config.txt file, but file does not exist, so command will fail and the container exit with non-zero exit code. So let's see in the real time. Now let's check the status, and you see the status is equal to error. Now let's describe the pod and see the exit code, and scroll to the container section and you see the exit code is equal to 1. Exit code 1 confirm the container failed and the pod enter into the failed phase. So we have learned pod lifecycle, and pod lifecycle is the complete journey for the pod from creation to deletions. We have 5 phases of the pod, that is pending, running, succeed, failed and unknown. So that's everything about the pod lifecycle and pod phases. So in the next we will learn about the pod status. Thanks for watching and I will see you next video.